Hi there, hope you're doing well. Um, Getting back into another video, just discussing some of the different aspects around properties and purchasing a home and things of that nature. Something I wanted to discuss for a while, and I think it's going to be good and very important to keep in mind, especially in the market we're going into, where there's going to be a lot of opportunities, a lot of um, chatter about deals and potential flips and these kind of things. And I wanted to just bring it down and just outline some very key aspects to keep in mind when looking at a property that you want to spend your money on. And this is more of an investment perspective. I think if you're purchasing the property as a homeowner, there's a lot of different things you want to keep in mind. But as an investment, as a flip, then there's a whole different things you want to think about. So when looking to flip a property, firstly, obviously, you're limited by how much you're wanting to spend, what your budget is, and then that is going to be dependent on your individual circumstance. So we won't go into too much detail around that. Um, the other thing is that okay, cool. So now you've obviously got your range. Now you need to look in areas, suburbs, things like that, places where you can get a good value for money. And value for money is an odd term to use because different properties have different value for money depending on what they're going to be used for. Um, the most important thing when looking at a flip is looking at suburbs with a high range. Then what do I mean by range? Range is what is the highest selling price for the average sized earth um, to the lowest selling price. So let's say, look at Plumstead, an area that I've worked quite extensively in, average earth size is 496, 495, all right, whatever. Then what is the highest selling price of a property at that size and what is the lowest selling price? And that is the range. And so why is that important? It basically means is what is the least amount you can purchase a property for, and then what is the most you can sell it for, and that creates where your profit margins are. Inside of that, you've obviously got to have your transfer cost, the cost of building, subdivision, legal fees, things that you get involved, all the nitty gritty. I don't want to go into too much detail into that in this video. I want this to be more of a brief overview of what to keep in mind when property flipping. So obviously the range, understanding purchase price and then sale price. All right, very simple ideas in business. All right, when getting involved in a potential flip, research is the most important thing. So you obviously know your budget, you know your range, and with your range, you're now obviously looking for a suburb and things like that. All right, once you've found those kind of things, then you need to get into the consulting of, okay, cool, what are the actual things that need to happen inside of this whole process that's going to allow me to make money? It's a very complicated thing to discuss and talk about because I can go on about different things I've seen happen, but the nature of it is it's very much dependent on you as the investor. So the most important thing I want to give you advice on is talk to professionals in key industries. What does that mean? So you need to talk to a builder, obviously. If you have a building friend, that's great. If you have an experience in construction, that is by far the best. It's very risky dealing with people you've never dealt with. There's a lot of very scary stories out there around construction workers, people just leaving jobs and things like that. So I would recommend sticking to someone who's trustworthy that you know. A lot of estate agents, when people in the property industry will have their go-to guy, and I would recommend sticking along those lines. So builder, obviously, that's going to give you costs and potential time frame. Then is an architect, someone who can see the property, who will probably be able to think in a spatial context that you, if you've not dealt with property before, won't really know what to look for. These will be things like flow, utilizing the space, possibly discussing a subdivision. They will also understand the rules of what you can do on an earth depending on the zoning, whether it's SR1, which is single residential, GR, which is general residential. They'll be able to really talk you through a bunch of things like that. Then a lawyer to understand the nature of how you purchase the property. Is it through a company? Is it in your own name? If it's in your own name, different legal things you can go around that, as well as then negotiating the deal, understanding what you as the investor need to know before you look to purchase a property. These will things be like title deeds, which could give you restrictions on the property, things like that. So builder, architect, lawyer, and then lastly will be an estate agent, which is what I am. So an estate agent, what the value of what they can provide you is they will probably have a list of criteria of what they know they should look for in flipping properties. And so most estate agents will have a series of investors that they will deal with on a regular basis. And so my recommendation is talking to them, discussing with them their experiences on past investments and things like that, and really understanding that if you are looking to get into flipping property, it is a very research intensive investment. All right, it's not going to be something like you just open up, fire and forget, and things just run automatically. There's timelines, costing, margins, all these things that are going to be happening all the time. And while it can be very rewarding to see your creation as an investment and to make money off of that, you must understand that most people don't. And it's because they don't understand the fundamentals going into it, and it's because they don't discuss things with professionals prior. Which, if the only thing you take out of this discussion is talk to as many people as you can to get as fully rounded picture as possible when engaging in this. And most property investors will either have a family member or they will have worked in the industry before they even think about flipping. And so that's really my advice. And the reason I'm recording this is because we are going to go into a time where banks are going to be flooding the market with bonds. You can get a really cheap and affordable bond with the current interest rates. And it's going to be very exciting and thought-provoking to, oh man, it's a good time, property prices are down 10, 20%. If I get in now, get a good bond, I could potentially have a really high yield investment. And yes, you can. And the opportunities are out there, but just make sure you know what's happening before you put pen to paper, because I have seen people make mistakes and it is very difficult to come back from a bond as bad debt and things like that. So yeah, exciting times, and I recommend doing the research, gathering as much information as you can, and speaking to professionals. A lot of time people hold their cards close to their chest, and you don't want to be doing that in an investment that you don't quite understand yet. But I recommend it as it is one of the most fun things from my perspective, and it's something that I really do enjoy. So if you'd ever be looking to have a conversation around something like this, or look for a little bit more information, please let me know. I'd be happy to have a chat or go for a coffee or something like that when we're allowed to. Otherwise, have a good day, week, year in life, and happy hunting during this time. Cheers.